What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Northern Valley. This episode, we're going to be working a little bit on the public transportation that we kind of started in the last episode, and we're also going to be doing some more detailing around the downtown block from last episode. But to start, we're going through and finishing up these train tracks. Well, not finishing, but we're getting a good chunk of one of these lines at least done, and this one, as you can kind of tell right now, is headed off toward the dam village by the condominium complex that we built, really long time ago now. But yes, we're just zipping this around. So generally speaking, I try to keep the train lines pretty consistent and concise in my cities. So usually since this station has 3 lines, we're kind of keeping them branching off in their respective positions. So this line that we're working on right now is going off to the right, let's say. The middle line is going to connect up to the industrial park area that I have planned at some point when we kind of expand out that way. And then the left line is going to be going through to the harbor that we also plan on doing. Wow, we have so much left to do in this city, it's not even funny. And the FPS I've noticed is kind of starting to take a hit, and that's got to be mostly from detailing. And you'll see in the live portion, I'm sure you'll notice the drop in FPS. Also in the live portion, we will go through and kind of talk more about what I was just talking about in terms of the future plans for a lot of these train lines, and see it'll make more sense. It's kind of hard to explain right now since we're not looking at it, but what we are looking at is this really awesome little ridge that I created for this train track. So I needed some way to get these trains over across the map, and I figured the easiest way would probably be to go under the highway, and then I didn't really want to go through like the mountain, so we kind of followed the same route that the highway took because I guess it's logical. We already have that space kind of cut out for some sort of infrastructure, but yeah, I figured the quay walls would look sweet, and I did a lot of that stuff, and it actually did look pretty cool. Again, we'll check that out later. What I'm doing on screen right now is struggling to get that station to work. Now, this downtown station, you just saw me before I placed this new modded train station. I couldn't find a way to get the train track to hook up to anything but the middle station, or the middle line rather. And it was frustrating. I tried to get down around every angle, try to get it to hook up, but it never did. And I eventually had to go through, and I remember seeing this a while ago, but there's the multi-station track enabler or something along those lines. It's a mod, and it eventually helps us out here. But the actual modder for that 3-track train station didn't mention that at all. So that was kind of frustrating, but luckily we got it worked out, even though it did cause some headaches. But what I was saying a little bit earlier was keeping track of my train lines, and I had generally tried to keep the outside connections on their own kind of separate circuit. Now, this really didn't work in this kind of layout and what I had envisioned for this whole train system. So what we're doing is connecting the same line that we just ran down to the other part of town in toward the, or we're hooking it into the outside connection. Now, this should cause all of the external trains, I guess you could say, to come straight downtown. There isn't a way for a train to find a route to that station that we just placed. So all of the tourists will be delivered straight downtown, which is something that I wanted to keep in mind. And right now you're seeing me go through and add another train line to the other side, or this is gonna be, we double up the tracks here, and this is that middle connection that I was talking about. Now, this line that I'm doing right now, obviously it's a little messy toward the edge of the map, but as we grow and expand out that way, we will fix it up. But what was I saying? Yeah, so I wanted to generally, in my last playthrough, I definitely tried to keep all of the outside connections on their own thing, just to not interfere with things, and I wanted to keep all of the transportation kind of concise and planned out well. but I feel like we're going to be able to do that still, so I'm kind of trying this out. Not really something that I wanted to do originally, but we are going to make it work. Now, this downtown station, I'm putting these little underground walkways down right now. This station, I thought was just glitched. I thought it wasn't working because for the longest time, nobody was using this station. And I think it was just because nobody really wanted to come downtown via that train route. So eventually we get it working. And the cool thing about this station is that allegedly people will actually spawn in front of it like a normal building, but also people can use those underground walkways that we just set up to get out of the train station and get back into it. So that's actually pretty cool, and I'm really happy that we have that as an option. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. And what we're doing right now is moving the metro lines around. So there was a little bit of reorganization for these metro lines. The one was really close to the other one that we had put down when we first built the downtown metro. So I decided to change that. Also, a big factor in that was that this station was on a pedestrian road, so no cars could reach it. So it was getting like a really high crime rate, and I just didn't want to put up with seeing that icon there anymore. So we switched that over and kind of figured all that out. Eventually, we're going to be putting trams down, and that is actually in this episode, so that's not like a future plan. We do that, but right now, what I'm doing, when I build in this game, I'm pretty sporadic in what I do for some reason. What I'm doing right now is putting an apartment complex kind of downtown here. So this is something that I wanted to do just to kind of fill the rest of this area because there was really nothing else here, and it was kind of wonky in trying to find like a way to properly get a road out to here. So I decided to kind of enclose an apartment area here, and I really think it comes out pretty nice. It should be really cool to watch this apartment complex kind of, I guess, grow up when they upgrade the buildings and kind of grow upward toward the sky. Should be pretty interesting. But the foliage that I placed down, now I've been using this kind of tree, whatever, I don't even know what tree it is, but I've been using this quite a bit, and I actually do use this. No, I don't. I was gonna say I use this over by the train station, but I don't use this one. But yeah, this kind of down here, this tree, I guess fits the mold because on the other side of the street, we also have this tree. But I wanted to kind of keep the street this side of the street rather, a little different. So you see me put all of those like bushes around the base of these trees just to give these a little bit more flavor, I guess you could say. And in the end, I really like how this little apartment complex turns out. Now, I don't know, I guess when you take a step back and you look at certain parts of the city, I'm sure you'd see things like this little apartment complex where I spent a little bit more time to detail this kind of area, and then I'm sure you'd see other parts of the city where I really didn't spend all that much time on it. So there's probably pockets of the city that look really bleak and bland, but I don't know. I think we could go through and actually detail more areas, but it's just finding time to do that. And I do want to kind of keep this series moving. We could go through and pretty much detail step by step every little nook and cranny of the city, but I don't think we'd really progress. So I kind of want to keep all of the detail work to a minimum and just try to get things that really need detailing detailed. But you're seeing me right now on screen. Go ahead and work on that on the tram line that I had said, or that I had talked about earlier. Now, this was kind of an interesting little thing because I wanted to kind of get the trams logically around the city. And in the end, the one original tram line that I put down really turns out to not be that useful for people. But we end up taking a tram over the bridge right now, actually, and then back to the other part of Winterfell. And this tram line is actually a really, really useful thing. Trams, as you know, or may not know, carry a bunch more people than buses do. And this bus stop on Winterfell, that bus stop was always packed. So getting a tram in there to take just a buttload of people, for lack of a better term, downtown, it's really useful, and it's cutting down on a lot of people just kind of standing around idle. So that's actually something that I'm actually really happy with, and I'm really happy how that kind of turned out. Now, I think the trams will probably limit to just these areas for the most part. I don't want to go too crazy with trams because I feel like they aren't very efficient in terms of, I guess, cost, but I mean, we're in sandbox mode. It doesn't really matter, but you really wouldn't see trams all over a city, I wouldn't think. But anyway, right now we're going through and detailing a little bit by the waterfront. Now, this part of the map, I really wanted to kind of take influence, and you might see me bop over to the... I just deleted a key wall, and that honestly scared the crap out of me, because I thought I would have to load the save, and I hadn't saved in a while. But anyway, this part of the map, I took a lot of influence from the bayfront area that we designed when we first started the city. I wanted there to be a lot of kind of grass space around, just because I feel like people would come down here and maybe enjoy the riverfront a little bit, and then go through and maybe have like a picnic, like I said when we did the other area. But closer to the water and closer to the tracks, you're seeing me right now take these bushes. I believe it's called the shady bush, and we're using that as kind of like a natural barrier between the train tracks and what we will eventually develop as part of the city. Now, this episode is made entirely possible by the Move It tool. You seeing me use the copy and paste function right now? This saved, I don't even know how much time. It's incredible. I could just take a cluster of these bushes and then just copy them and paste them over. It was awesome. I cannot believe life before the Move It tool existed. It was such a pain, but I got to use this, and you're seeing me move all of these bike paths closer to the key wall here. I figured this was gonna turn out pretty nice doing this way. So I had originally planned on putting like a fence down here to keep people away from the train tracks if they were on the bike path. And that would have worked fine, but I really, really like what we did here with these bushes. Now, this kind of makes, like I said, a natural barrier, and the more full that we could make this look, the better. So I don't think anybody, like, if this were a real-world situation, would try to traverse through all of this really thick ground foliage to try to get onto train tracks. I mean, I guess if they were very dedicated, they still could, but I don't know. It can't be understated how much I love how this this little area turned out by the bayfront. But you know what? This is actually winding down. We'll go ahead and jump over to the live portion and see what this is all about. All right, guys, so here we are, and what a beautiful shot. Look, the train goes right by us. You can view people coming in off of the toll road, and you got the city in the background. Now, we're starting over here in the live portion on this kind of rail ledge thing. We kind of glanced about it on the time lapse, but I didn't really get to talk in too much detail about it. So yeah, what I did was I took the existing key wall that we had here to kind of block this kind of ridge or mountainside from toppling over onto the toll booths here, and I put the rail right across it. Now, I had started to talk about how that's probably the easiest way to go about it because this was pretty much already set up for us. But at that point, there was nothing stopping the mountain from going onto the rail, so we had to add a second key wall, which actually turns out to be really cool. I love this little aesthetic, but yeah, it's such a cool little touch over here. Can't wait to have more people coming through here, and more people coming through here is going to be possible when we kind of expand this highway out and finish this up. Now, I had this is going to be a little off track, but I had kind of been thinking, like, we don't really have any downtown highway access at the moment, so this whole map, if I zoom back out here, it's a little strange the way we have it set up, because our main downtown core is over here, but there's really not a lot of like access to it per se. The rail line, especially from this rail over here, has to go all the way through the back part of the park, and then all the way around, and then eventually it can traverse off of the outside connection line and then hit the inside connection line, if you want to say. This connects up to our internal transportation or rail line. And yeah, you can kind of see I have a couple custom trains and trams that I'll show you guys, but this is one of them. Pretty cool. And it's a smaller train, but that's okay because this actual train line isn't... Oh my god! There's quite the fire going on over here. Awesome. Fire trucks, excuse me, are you gonna... What are you doing? Alright, so we have our boys in red on it, I guess. What was I saying? Oh, yes, this train line actually isn't all that populated right now, so the smaller train is fine for now. And did I even put in all the detail work in the time-lapse? I remember putting a lot of this kind of stuff in here, and I like that I have these lines extended out, and we have a couple spare rail cars just kind of sitting on here waiting to be connected up or whatever. But I don't think I recorded or at least edited in the flowers that we put in here. So yes, this is the little what is this? This is Winterfell? No, this is Evergreen Park. This little town center over here, which is now a nice crunchy toasted flavor, I guess. But yeah, the train stop is pretty cool. We have a couple buses connected up over here, and I fear at the moment not a lot of people are using these buses as a way to get downtown. I think they're just kind of hopping from bus to bus to get to wherever they need to get to. But yeah, we'll kind of hop out. You know what? We could do that right now. Let's go ahead and check out the bus lines that we have set up here. So right now we have a couple bus lines over here. If I can just grab this to show you. We have this green line that goes around the condominium park and kind of down this like parking area, or not parking, but shopping area, and then right back to here. So anybody who wanted to take a long expedition out of the city to go shopping could do that with ease. And then this kind of orange and then a red bus line, these both go to the developments that we have over here on Walton Ridge. So I was kind of hoping to get some people from Walton Ridge to this bus station and then they go downtown from there. Not really sure how much of that's actually happening, so we'll kind of keep an eye on it and monitor it. And then Winterfell, we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, so what I was saying with these train lines was that this one, there's no way for the outside connections to hit into this train station, which is by design. I didn't want trains going like over here and just jamming up this station. I wanted that to be internal kind of traffic only. So this little thing, right, this little split has that working for us. And one note about the split, you probably might, you guys may have caught it in the time lapse, but if you use the move it tool, you can, so by nature in this game, like the rails kind of curve off in the same direction. But in like reality, the rails when they split kind of go separate ways. So you can take the node with the move it tool and actually move it to a more realistic angle. So that, I really like that I kind of found that out, and it's kind of added a lot to that whole rail system. Before we get downtown, let's talk about this rail line. So this is all pretty much temporary, except for the fact that it's serving the outside connections right now. So I eventually want to take this rail and go probably down into the earth, so this highway kind of goes over it with a bridge, so we don't have to kind of divert the highway up over these trains. There's enough room here that we can kind of drop this train line in elevation and keep it fairly realistic. That's one thing that I do want to note. I try to kind of keep the rails fairly realistic in not having them, I guess, go like crazy up mountains and then straight down and stuff that trains just wouldn't physically be able to do in the real world. But we actually kind of have a little bit of that going on over here. But yeah, this whole like S-bend is just insane. That would never actually happen. But yeah, right now this is all pretty much temporary back here. So eventually when we get back out here to kind of develop our industry, which is going to be pretty much over here because there are a ton of natural resources. You can kind of see, I think this one's mineral and this one is oil. I could be wrong about that. I'm not really sure with this texture pack, but yeah, eventually we'll kind of tidy this up, and this this straight line is going straight downtown. And we'll connect that up to a couple internal kind of connections like we did on the last one, and we'll probably actually connect that up to like an industrial hub, which is something else that we're going to have to talk about entirely at some point. But I'd love to put like a rail yard maybe here and kind of just not discover, but kind of model this area as a rail yard with a couple like train depots or something over there. That could be pretty cool. We'll probably have to do that at some point. And then, like I said, this left line, if we're looking this way, is going to then probably hit the train yard a little bit and then divert off and go this way and probably hug the highway, which will then kind of come over here. And this will eventually be our harbor. Now, I'm not really sure when we're going to get to that, but you know what? We should probably do that really soon, just because getting some ships in and getting that all set up is going to be pretty cool. Now, like I was saying earlier, there's really no highway connection down here. I don't really know if I want to put like a direct connection down to like off of this to here. I don't really know if I want to do that, but I do want to maybe take it around this mountain or around over this kind of through this bridge that I kind of had set up at one point. Through the bridge and then over here. And then from here, maybe we'll have a connection onto this island. And then that should be able to service downtown fairly nice. Now, the island is going to be pretty much like an extension of downtown. It's not going to be overrun with high-rises, really, I don't think. Although we probably could do a couple bigger buildings, but I really want to focus on like a stadium district right here. I feel like that could be really cool. And eventually, I think we're going to need to actually add another bridge from like here to there just to give more people accessible to the downtown area. But yeah, that's pretty much the plan for that. So now that we're actually downtown, let's go ahead and check out a couple things. Now, you're going to notice the FPS is really terrible. I can't really do all that much about it. But yeah, I am recording via my GPU. So I can't really, there's like, if I switch anything over, it's not going to fix it. But this is what it is for now. It's I don't know. We'll just have to deal with it. So this is the apartment complex that we were working on. I actually like how this came out, and I like how this has been growing. So some of these buildings are actually growing up. This one right here is really cool. I really enjoy this building. This is a really cool aesthetic. Now, like I was saying about the trees during the time lapse, if you look down here, you got pretty much a good view of downtown. But you got a really cool wall of the same tree on both sides. That's pretty awesome. And I like how this fence for the college is a nice gray, whereas this fence is green. So I kind of wanted to keep that green theme throughout this complex. So that's why you kind of see some green and yellow bushes around under these trees. I love how this kind of little corner of the downtown area kind of turned out. Yeah, a little bit of detailing went in. You saw me kind of do this over here. This was just like a little trash area. Like a lot of apartment complexes would have to have some sort of trash for just a collection area for residents to take their trash out. So that's kind of a neat little touch, but I love this corner. And then, oh yeah, let's talk about the tram station. So this is the tram station. I had originally put it over where these like office buildings are right now. I had put it up like that, but I was like, you know what? This looks really cool. And I kind of want to keep this on the rail because it looks like a rail side building for whatever reason. So that's what we did. We put it right there. It works. I love how this kind of works together with the rail. And the tram lines, if I zoom out, my God, these FPS it's just terrible. But the tram line goes this way, and it cuts to the right, and then back to the left over to here. Now, I could have run it right through here, but I really wanted to keep this kind of cleared right here, because, like I said in the last episode, I wanted to have those crosswalks there, and that was not going to be possible if I put the tram lines there. So I like having, even though it's a little bit more of a roundabout way for trams to get to their route, I guess, it works for us. So the one tram, actually I can go into the trams right here. Well, I guess I didn't have to actually click on them. But the trams go from right here, both of them, from this stop where the old metro was. You'll notice the metro station is no longer right here. That metro has been moved over to here just because it paced itself out from this a little bit. We have an underground walkway that leads up over to here, and then one that goes straight out here from the train station. But there's also the tram stop right here. So a lot of pedestrians can access this area, and I really like keeping that in mind when designing these parts of, like, these transportation hubs downtown. So this is highly accessible for pedestrians, and this is where the tram stop is. Now, the one tram line, we only have one tram on it because it's really not that populated of a line, just because the metro kind of takes it steals all the passengers away from it. But the one goes from right here down to here, down to downtown Lockwood area. That was kind of intended. I really don't know. I didn't think it out all that much. I just kind of wanted to put a tram line there because I saw a lot of people just kind of walking that way. Didn't really plan that out because, like I said, the metro line is already going to here. But this line right here is the one that actually helps us out a ton. So this one goes from Winterfell all the way over to the train stop. Now, I could have probably branched the train off to here, or even put a metro here. I just didn't want to put the metro under the water for whatever reason. I know it's possible in real life. I just wasn't feeling it. And the train stop, I mean, having like a train diverge off of this and make a sudden right over the river just didn't feel right with me either. So I feel like the tram is actually a really good compromise, and it's also doing a very good job of moving people over there. As you can see, the bus stop was here, or it actually was here, and it was just full of people. Right now, we have a really good flow of people going downtown, and I love that the tram doesn't actually have to contend with cars, unlike the bus lanes that we had. So this is actually a really cool double-decker tram asset that I downloaded, if I can catch up to it right now. Here it comes. It looks pretty awesome. It looks semi-futuristic, so that's pretty cool, and it just rear-ended that truck. That's fine. I guess the city will just pay for it. But yeah, it's doing its job. It fits a crap ton of people, actually, if I can find it. Where did it go? Where are you? There you are. Yeah, 200 passengers, and it's got 100 passengers on it. Now, there's only 2 stops, so you know these guys are all going downtown. That's why I love this tram line. It's so efficient, and it's doing such a good job. We have apparently some water issues. Again, it's just every time I boot up the save, the water doesn't settle down right, but you can tell the FPS down here is not so good just because of all of these bushes that have been placed down here. But like I said, I really, really love how this looks, and I'm going to love it even more when we hook up the bike line and have, like, actual people using it. So, guys, that's going to pretty much wind down this episode. We got quite a bit done in terms of planning transportation lines and stuff out. Quite a bit amount of detailing as well. But yes, guys, if you like this one, give me a thumbs up. If you disliked it, give me a thumbs down. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing in the next one, but keep an eye out for that. And until then, guys, I will see you back here in Northern Valley.